What's going on, everyone? It's streaming again. How's everyone been doing? Let's see if I can share this stream here. Um, put it in Brennan's server. Bam. Put it in Joe server. Those are the only servers I can put it in. I don't really have. I mean, I have some other E servers, not a lot though. How's everyone been doing? Well, there's no one watching. Not yet. People will come in soon though. Not streaming as late as I used to stream. Hey, look who it is, Iron Inquisitor, the OG. How's it going, Iron? Um, how does my mic sound? Because I know on my voting on videos they were pretty loud, or I was pretty loud, I should say. Sound like I was blasting into the microphone, but I turned it down a little bit, my volume, my audio volume, mic volume. So hopefully that fixes it. Hope it's not too loud. If it is, let me know. But what have I been up to? Well, still reading the Expanding Universe, like always. I've been really collecting a lot of Clone Wars stuff. In fact, I have the rest of Clone Wars Adventures ordered. So I already have in my collection, I have volumes, and they're going to be out of order because I have them in chronological order on my shelf, and chronologically they're out of order. So, but I have volume 1. I have volume 5, 4, and 7. There's 9 of them, so that's 4 volumes I already have. I have all the rest of the 5 coming in the mail. And then I have some TCW comics. I think I have 1 more coming in. I think. I don't remember. I have Colossus of Destiny and In Service of the Republic. I have those already. I have the first 3 Secret Missions books. They're already here. I have the 4th one on the way. So as you can see, I've been really buying those Clone Wars stuff. I've all of Clone Wars Adventures at first too. They're pretty cheap, man. That whole series can be pretty cheap. I actually got mine just for a few dollars. So it was definitely a steal. So I've been trying to, because I don't want to have to do some, let's just say, alternative ways of having to read those comics, because none of them on Marvel Unlimited. So I don't like to, if I don't have the comic, I like to do, let's just say, a legal way of reading this stuff. I don't like to do anything that's, not illegal. So I'm really trying not to have to do that with this Clone Wars run. Or reading through this Clone Wars stuff that I'm doing with Titus and Ken. So there's a chance Scott might join us. So we'll look out for that. Titus has also been he's been adding stuff. If it's we're trying to read as much as we can. We want to read as much of the Clone Wars as we can and experience it as much as we can. So he's been adding a lot of stuff on there, like short stories from the Essential Guide to Warfare. It like there's some digital comics that he has that we're gonna Lulu. That it's in fact, if you look at the list, you'll be able to see them if you know like one of them is the Valaducian operation. I think that was a digital comic, and I'm gonna Lulu that, print that off for myself, and Titus will do the same thing as well. So, in fact, we're also reading a little bit after the Clone Wars. We're gonna read In fact, we're reading 4 novels. Reading Order 66, Kenobi, Dark Lord, Rise of Darth Vader, and then Imperial Commando 501st. Honestly, we're really reading that just because we want to read 501st. That's kind of the reason why we did that, because those are clones, and it's a Karen Traviss novel. It's a part of the Republic Commando series, so we want to add that as well. But obviously, and then of course, Order 66. That's a direct aftermath of the Clone Wars through the eyes of Delta Squad, and then or no, Omega Squad. I think Delta Squad's in it too. I don't remember. I haven't read it. I think they're both in it though. Um, and then of course, Kenobi and Dark Lord Rise of Darth Vader take place in between. Kenobi, it's a good way to see an epilogue for Obi-Wan's Clone Wars story, and then Dark Lord Rise of Darth Vader, an epilogue to Anakin, now Darth Vader's story to the Clone Wars. So they are related to the Clone Wars, but we are well aware they're not Clone Wars technically. So can't wait to read those. So yeah. I already have all the novels. I have Skywalkers. We are reading that too. I have the micro series. Oh yeah, that's another one. I bought I did not have volume 2 of the micro series. I've always had volume 1 ever since I was a little kid. I don't know why. I don't even remember where I got that from. But I have volume 2 now in the collection. And I actually have them on my shelf in their appropriate areas because I never had them on the shelf. So now I do. So we got a lot of Clone Wars stuff to read. A lot of Clone Wars stuff to read, but we're gonna get it done. Hello, Jay. How's it going? Doc, greetings. But yeah, so that's all the Clone Wars stuff. I already have all the Boba Fett books. I'm still trying to buy those Clone Wars Dark Horse volumes, the collections of what is it? Republic, those trade paperbacks. So because I have the first 4. So I need the last 5 to finish the set off. I also need to get Darth Maul Death Sentence. Funny story about that. The Titus and I, we were talking about it one night, and we were talking about like how expensive the trade is, because I've actually found the single issues for like fairly cheap. I haven't purchased them yet, but eventually I will. And what's funny is my school library at my college actually has the trade paperback for Death Sentence, the graphic novel, I should say, in their graphic novel section. And they also have that Crimson Empire omnibus that Dark Horse put out back when Volume 3 came out. That, yeah, I actually asked the guy. I said, "Can I please buy these?" And he said, "No, I can't. I'm not able to." But wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that be awesome if I was able to buy those, add those to the collection? I probably wouldn't buy the Crimson Empire one because I already have Crimson Empire, the trade paperbacks, and then the Epic collection. But I really wanted the Death Sentence trade because the trade's so expensive now. So why is it expensive? Because they don't ever reprint anything. Well, Marvel does reprint stuff, but even when it is reprinted, the reprints go out of print, so it just keeps the comic high. It doesn't. That's why I hate buying Star Wars comics, or I should say EU comics, because they're just so, if it's never been reprinted or hasn't been reprinted in a while, or if it's a very popular, well-known comic, then it's going to be very expensive. I think an example of that is the Dark Empire trade paperbacks from the Dark Horse put out. Those didn't really start getting cheaper until the Epic Collection for Dark Empire came out, but even then, that Epic Collection, well, it got it went out of print. So sorry, give me a sec. Anyway, so that's my spiel about that, about trying to find some of this EU stuff that I don't have. But to be fair, I still have quite a comic collection. Like I have a lot. I have all Tales of the Jedi, the first two epics for KOTOR. I have all the SWTOR comics. I have Prelude to Rebellion, Outlander, Dark Hyperspace War, Jango Fett Open Seasons, Emissaries to Malastare, first four Clone Wars volumes. I'm gonna have all of Clone Wars Adventures. I have a couple of those TCW comics, Darth Maul, Son of Dathomir, Darth Vader Lost Command, Darth Vader Ghost Prison, uh, Boba Fett Blood Ties, Agent of the Empire Volume 1, and Boba Fett and the Empire. I got a lot. I'm not gonna list it all out, but I got a lot. One of these days, I do want to show off, like all of the trades that I have because I love trade paperbacks. Like even in like non-Star Wars settings, like when it comes to just comics and I love trade paperbacks. There's something about trades, I don't know why. And even though they don't have the most amount of stories in it, I just like the look of trades on a shelf. I think it's because trades are so reminiscent of the single issues to me, but at the same time, they're not. Obviously, they're not single issues, and they can fit on the shelf, so it feels like a single issue comic, like a really big one, but it can also fit on the shelf. I hope that kind of makes it's weird. I don't know, but it I just like trade paperbacks, and typically the art is really good on trade paperbacks. So that's why I really wanted all the legacy trades, and I knew I have them all now. Um, thankfully. So it's just I don't know. I just like trade paperbacks. I don't know what it is. I just like them. They're really nice. They're just nice. I like them, and I like Dark Horse. I like their trades. So I just find that omnibuses are just I don't know. It's not that I don't like them. Like my first comic that I ever read was The Walking Dead, and those comics, I actually have the compendiums for those, the first three, because when I first got into it, there was only three compendiums, and now there's four. Um, in those compendiums, they collect 48 single issues, and they only retail for like $60. Okay, that's a lot of issues for almost $1 and like 50 cents an issue, give or take. That's pretty much how much you're spending, $1, even though those issues were like what, $3 or $4 when they first came out. So um it's massive, which makes formidable reading, yeah. And what I also don't like is like the bigger the omnibus, especially if they're paperback, like the Walking Dead compendiums. Image Comics, they have omnibuses and then they have compendiums. Compendiums, I think, are smaller and there are more of them, while omnibuses are like, I think they're hardback, they're more expensive, and they're rarer. I don't exactly know how that works for Image, but the Walking Dead compendiums, there's 193 issues, I think, of that series. 193, 94, something like that. Almost 200. And which is it's actually fairly small and for one comic run in the comic world, but their compendiums, there's four of them. So they've released, and each one has 48 issues. The last one was 49 because it ended not the series ended in an odd number, but so it had to have been 193. But and my compendiums are actually falling apart. I need to buy them again. So I need to go buy some new ones because they're falling apart. So that's kind of a one of the problems with bigger but like with trays, they last a long time. They don't really fall apart like that. They're nice on a shelf when you have them all in a line. I don't know. It's just I just like trade paperbacks. I don't know. I just really like them. They're my preferred way of collecting comics. Yeah. So anyway, that's my spiel about comics and collecting and whatever. I think that one of the best parts about being a new EU fan is collecting this stuff for the first time. Because people, when EU, and I think that's one of the bad things of actually being an EU fan when it all came out. Because at that point, you're just buying when it comes out, never really collecting it. Does that make sense? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you kind of are, but not really. I don't know. Um, so one of the benefits of actually being a fan when all this stuff is out of print and all and whatever, it's actually trying to find it. It's fun. It's fun to collect this stuff. Hello, Andres. Welcome. But anyway, so let's see what I have coming in the mail. And by the way, the app that I'm using to collect most of this stuff is an app called Mercari. If you've never heard of it, check it out. It's an app. You can either get it on your phone or you can get on the website and do it that way, whatever you prefer. Um, but this is what I'm using. It's the app I'm using to actually collect this stuff. So I have Clone Wars, um, the Wind Raiders of Talaran coming back in the mail. I have Clone Wars Adventures Volume 6, I believe. Yes. Clone Wars Adventures Volume 3, Volume 8, Volume 2, and Volume 9 on the way. And then I also have Clone Wars Secret Missions Guardians of the Chiski, which is the fourth book, as I mentioned earlier. I have that in the mail as well, or on the way. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books coming in the mail. I was a collector early, especially trying to find rare Rebus Young Jedi Knights. Yep. I actually found a copy of that for pretty cheap a couple of years ago. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just bait. Bait? Card's great. I bought some used books there. Yeah, it's I gotta give credits to Maxine. She's the one that told me about Macari. She actually bought a whole bunch of stuff too, but I say about 90% of my comics have come from that site. So it's a great place if you want to buy Star Wars EU comics for decent prices. Lance channeling his inner Titus. Hell yeah. Titus my best friend, of course. We are the same. Titus and we are dyad in the force. Oh yeah. I Lulu those books because I just didn't really feel like buying them, but I'm sure one of these days I'll find it for a good price and buy them again. Talk about Macari, yes. Macari is a great website slash app. I use the app, but it's I like it because you can actually they have great anti-fraud um anti-fraud like I don't know policies, algorithms. I don't know what word you could use there, but it's very much like eBay. There's no bidding. It's one of the reasons why I don't really get on eBay. First, I don't have an eBay account, and I don't really feel like bidding with people. I know that there's you can just buy directly. I know that that's also an option, but either way, it's like eBay. Yeah, the U.S. Walbert should be dying because the moon falling on his head and Luke falls in love with the computer. Yeah, man. I love Die, especially Kylo and Ray Park. Nice, bro. Yeah, that's my favorite too. By the way, Marcel, I am 12 issues still into KOTOR. Reading all this Clone Wars slop has halted that, but I will finish it, and we will do our live stream. It's gonna happen. What's that, Max? Dark Empire is trash, man. That means the EU is trash. Yeah, dude. One comic means the whole continuity's bad, dude. You remember all those bad Star Trek episodes? Yeah, that means the whole series is bad. The local library had the Dark Force series, and I did not pay attention at the time to see if they ever sold them when they closed. That's been sick ever since. Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, it won't take me that long to finish it. It's only a few issues I have left. But when I get that first epic done, we will do it. And then I gotta start the next one after that. Hmm. Who is notifying me on Discord? Joe's server. Lance, I like your channel thumbnail. Yeah, Marcel, the guy who made Brennan, what's his name? Sam, I think his name was. The guy who made Brennan's profile picture, he made that for me. So thank you, or thank him. He did a great job. Need to get my butt around to start the last Hand of Thrawn book. Are you talking about the Hand of Thrawn duology, or like Gregory O. Scott Hand of Thrawn? I think you're talking about the duology though, because I think you said I remember you saying you were on that. He is a great guy. Did a great job with that. Both my profile picture and my channel art. Who falls in love with- No, he didn't fall in love with the computer. Never did that. He fell in love with a spirit trapped in a computer, but okay. It's good duology. It's fun. Especially the Thrawn lore. But really though, that duology should have been a trilogy. And because I think what also should have been in that is Luke and Mars wedding. It also contains the longest novel in the expanded universe, Vision of the Future. 600 and what was it, 94 pages? That was your favorite? That was pretty good. I read Survivor's Quest. Yes, I loved it. And I've read Outbound Flight. Love both of those books very much. They're great. Survivor's Quest is like a great because there's chronologically there's no like Zahn books after that. So it's sort of like a nice little ending to Zahn's side of the franchise. And then of course Outbound Flight is a great start to his side of the franchise, his sandbox, so to speak. Fish and Fish should have just yeah, exactly. It's a very long book. Yep. Yeah, I'm not answering this. Not answering that. I'm getting tired of post Jedi stuff. Reading Clone Wars stuff, dude. With my friends. But as soon as I'm done with this Clone Wars stuff, I'll get on that for sure. Or get back to that. We need to do freaking Tempest, that stream, Literary of the Force. I'm gonna have to go read a summary on that. I kind of forgot. I know it's about the Hapens and the assassination attempt on who was it, Tenoka? Trying to keep what was her name? Uh Alana secret. You know what? I think a book, even just one book on the Chiss would have been really, really cool. I guess the closest we kind of got to that is Outbound Flight, but um because I think the Chiss are very interesting people. Or interesting species. That's a better way to put it. Do you like the Republic Commando books? I've not read them. I'm gonna read them soon though. Actually, within the next few weeks, I'm actually gonna start Hard Contact because after Attack of the Clones, that's the next novel chronologically after that. It's not the next thing I'm gonna read because I got the first 4 Boba Fett books. I think a short story and some comics I got to read first. Um, but that won't take me very long. And then I'm gonna get to what was it? Republic Commando Hard Contact. I'm very mixed on the clone Jedi thing though. The idea of it, maybe Karen Travis does it justice. Who knows? I've played most of it. I got up until Kashyyyk, which I know is towards the end of the game, but I will we are planning on replaying that as well and doing a review on it. So, and I remember not really caring for it, but I'm gonna redo it, give it another chance. I think what my favorite thing about Karen Travis is the fact that she associates the clones with Mandalorians. I love that. I love that the clones are very like in tune with their Mandalorian heritage. I just love that. The clones themselves are technically not Mandalorian. They are clones of a Mandalorian, but they themselves are not Mandalorian. But now some of them are like Spar, right? He's a Mandalorian. Obviously, Boba Fett is Mandalorian. The Delta Squad, technically they're not Mandalorian, but you know, they're very much associated with and very close with Mandalorians, and I really love that. I really, really like that a lot. I think that's one of my favorite things Karen Travis did was her expansion on like or not really expansion, but really like adding depth to Mandalorian society and culture. More, they're more than just killing machines. Yeah, they love war, they love the hunt, they love to fight, they love conflict, but they are more than that. There's more to them than that. They're very familial. Does that make sense? They're very family oriented. I think it's a better way to put it, and I really like that. I think it's really cool. So she did well, not all of it, because there were Mandalorian stories before she kind of came in. Like for example, the Tales of the Jedi stuff. That has Mandalorian stuff in it. But KOTOR is another one. KOTOR 2. I think I think KOTOR 2 came out before, or I don't know. Anyway. So and yeah, I do agree. I wish we got those Mandalorians as well in TCW. We got something similar. They are Death Watch. Similar, but they don't really contradict Death Watch. I don't think they do. Maybe they do. I don't know. Probably. Probably. They probably did. No one did David Boy. But yes, I love Karen Travis's contributions to Mandalorians. I find her I find her version of Mandalorians so much better than the Mandalorians version of Mandalorians, if that makes sense. Like in the Mandalorian, it's cool to see a bunch of live action Mandalorians fighting, but the whole thing with the dark saber and Mandalore just, because you think about it, Mandalore or the Mandalorian, that's the third time in Disney canon that Mandalore falls. The third time, and Bo-Katan has come in and save it. Maul, Gar Saxon, and Moff Gideon played the exact same role and the same exact story. The only difference is the eras that the story takes place in, and obviously some of the details. I can't with it anymore. I can't. And then the whole you know, the Mandalorian was actually on kind of an interesting story with the whole like religious trauma and the whole helmet thing and then like, oh, it's not just me. It's not just this group. There are other Mandalorians. You can be Mandalorian and take your helmet off. Um, but then Bo-Katan joins them. It's like what the hell? It's just so stupid. That's true, but I will say, like, I think Mandalorian kind of changed that with like the idea of foundlings, which the EU pretty much had the same thing. We didn't call it foundlings, but I mean it was pretty much the same thing. Like Jango Fett, for example, which they've kept that in the new canon too. Um, it's just I don't know. It's I don't think I don't know. It's been so long since I've seen those CCW episodes. I don't remember if they made it a race thing. Maybe they. I'll take your word for it, I guess. But it's been so long since I've seen those episodes. It's kind of crazy because like those Mandalorian episodes in TCW they're the that's kind of what creates the Mandalorian, I don't know, lore that they have in the new canon is based on those episodes. It's spawns out of it, and it's kind of a shame. I think Bo-Katan's not a bad character. In fact, I don't think really any of them are bad characters. It's just the story that they're telling with the Mandalorians and some of the lore elements, like the dark saber, everything surrounding that. I can't stand it. I think it's stupid. TCW changed Mandalorians, and yeah, they did. They did. Now, I think it's a little bit more forgivable Mandalorians because, I mean, there's so many Mandalorian clans, you can kind of forgive it. But with Dathomir, it's like, ugh. Though I do have my own retcons for that, my personal retcons. The way I view it is the planet scene and the Clone Wars is a different Dathomir. There are two Dathomirs, which is not something that is unheard of within the expanded universe. Endor is the same way. There's the planet Endor and then there's the moon of Endor. Another example is Bothawi. There's the gas giant Bothawi, Bothawi Prime, and then there's Bothawi the other planet Bothawi that we think of, which is the homeworld of the Bothans. So that's kind of how I view it. And then the Night Sisters that we see in the Clone Wars they're not native to that Dathomir. You can call that Dathomir Minor, and then you can call the EU Dathomir Dathomir Prime. It's just this Dathomir is that's why it would look different because it's not the same planet. It's a different Dathomir. Um, so then the Dathomir that's in TCW, it's different, and then those Night Sisters are like an offshoot clan so to speak. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. I just want to become Mandalore. I think original one didn't need a Darksaber to become leader. And the Tales of the Jedi comics, if you wore the mask of Mandalore, that's how it was. So really, in principle, it's actually the same as the Darksaber. As long as, well, yeah, in principle, it's the same. Um, but that was not a rule that was kept later. Like I don't exactly like. I know Boba Fett becomes Mandalore because it was a promise he made to Finn Shisa when he died. But I don't know how it's like in the Clone Wars, like in the multimedia project. I don't really know, to be honest with you. I know how it is. It changes. I wouldn't mind the idea of the dark saber. Like you have to kill, whoever wields the dark saber in order to not only inherit the dark saber but Mandalore, the throne, the Mandalorian throne. I wouldn't mind that if it was like an ancient tradition that the Mandalorians did in the new canon. I wouldn't mind that. What I think is stupid is we're in the post Jedi era at this point in the Mandalorian, and Bo-Katan has now seen three people lay claim to Mandalorian throne just because of the dark saber, and all three of them, with the exception of Gar Saxon, the three of them, or two of them, Maul and Gideon, are not Mandalorian. So she should be like, oh, okay, this tradition sucks. And this is not the first time we've got rid of traditions because apparently the whole helmet thing that Din Djarin's clan does, that's also an ancient tradition. So you would think that they wouldn't be doing this tradition anymore. And it wouldn't really be that radical if they established that because you see, I mean, nowhere in TCW is it said, I guess retroactively they've said this, but originally that whole Darksaber rule is not even in there, you know. Um, and then of course in Rebels, Sabine gives Bo-Katan the Darksaber. Bo-Katan, she takes it as if like, oh, but then in the Mandalorian she can't take it. And the only reason why she does take it is because some random Cyborg gets the drop on Din, and then Bo-Katan saves him. I mean, it's just stupid. It's just ridiculous. I mean, it's full of plot holes. The new canon, or on that particular subject, it's stupid. Okay, it's freaking stupid. It's almost like Dave Filoni and John is like they'll write this stuff and then they forget that they are contradicting themselves. Themselves. Jon Favreau worked on those Mandalorian episodes with Dave. I don't know if he wrote anything. I know he obviously voiced Previsito, but it's not like he's oblivious to the story. He helped put the story together. And obviously Dave and his team wrote those stories. So why in the world they're contradicting themselves and creating plot holes with their own stories, I don't know. Of course, Dave and his team did Rebels, of course. It's just ridiculous. It may have been. I don't know any I don't know what Mandalore was like during the Clone Wars in the EU because I have not read any of those stories yet. You may be right. You're probably right. I don't know. Anyway, that's my Dave Filoni rant that I kind of known for at this point. It used to be real bad. Ooh, used to help. I used to just ran all over him all the time. I don't do as much anymore, but it's just the more I think about those stories, like the new canon Mandalorian stuff, the more I like just want to throw up. I just It's like Dave doesn't even think. It's like he's not even. And I think that's the funny part. Is like Dave Filoni. He's at a point where he's not. He contradicted the EU. Now he's contradicting himself. It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. Yeah, the roast of Dave Filoni. And when you think about it, like when he did the Kanan comic or the Kanan contradiction in the Bad Batch, contradicting the Kanan comic, he indirectly contradicted himself there too, because not only is he contradicting someone else, the writer of that comic, but he contradicted himself because the writer of that comic consulted Filoni when writing that comic, and then David contradicts it. It's like what? What? I mean, yeah, but now he's not even regarding his own material that he created not too long ago. One of that series, he's always crediting George Lucas for doing stuff on, which he would actually kind of have some credibility there with the Mandalorian stuff, because I believe George did make some of those decisions in those Mandalorian episodes. I like how George changes you history, Disney history, like where Asajj was born. Or Google changes you history, Disney history. I read that as George. I'm like, and then I'm reading it. I'm like, what? What do you mean George did this? Anyway, how Google changes you history, Disney history, like where Asajj was born. It's hard to explain to normies, and it feels like Square Marvel DC Lore. Well, the reason why Google does that is because Disney stuff is canon. That's why. It's Google's going to go with what the actual owner of the company says is, official canon. So I don't really mind that. It makes sense. Does it suck? Yes, it sucks, but it makes sense. Now, regarding Marvel and DC, technically all that is, well, at least in Marvel, I don't. DC's rebooted so many damn times, I can't keep up with it. But with Marvel, I'm a bigger Marvel fan than I am DC. Marvel's had soft reboots, but they've never had like any huge continuity reboot like DC did with like a Crisis on Infinite Earths and then New 52 and all that stuff. Marvel really never had that. Marvel has had alternate timelines and alternate universes, but the idea of canon, when someone says something is canon in Marvel, they're saying it's canon to 616, which is the main universe. Again, I'm sure you know all this. I'm just kind of just talking. It's really just, I know you know all this, but what I'm trying to say is I don't really Marvel continuity is not as bad as Star Wars. I feel, because everything is canon to 616 at least. It did. It did at one point. At one point, it did. No, it doesn't. And I think it's more difficult with Star Wars, like as opposed to Marvel in terms of expanding continuities, because well, both the films are canon to both universes. It's the expanded material that we don't know is canon or not, or what is canon and what. Well, we know if it's canon. We just don't. It depends on the story. Is this canon or is that canon? Is it not canon or not canon? It's one of those things where it is hard to explain, or I could see why someone might think it's hard. So they were getting rid of the E to purge contrary source on it. Then they told us the Canesi was whatever we wanted to be and everything is considered canon. Well, yeah, basically. Though their original meaning, I mean, you're basically right. I guess that was why the story group was put together. They put the story group together. I think the original reason was to get rid of the hierarchy of canon, which I guess they blamed for contradictory storytelling in the EU, even though that actually solved a lot of contradictory storytelling rather than create it like they think it did. And then yeah, you're right. Canonicity is now whatever we want it to be, and yeah. And then like you have Sam Witwer on his pod, or he went on someone either it was his podcast or someone else's, but he basically said that yeah, or that George had told him that all this stuff is like campfire stories and continuity doesn't really matter. it's just funny because that's not what Disney says. But it doesn't matter what Lucasfilm says or the story group says. You know why? Technically, George Lucas is over the story group. Not George Lucas. He will always. That is true, though. He is over the story group, in my mind. Dave Filoni is over the story group because of his role as the chief content officer. So screw the story group at this point. You're absolutely right. I think Dave Filoni just cared about individual project, didn't care about keeping it. Yeah, that's true. He didn't. Which again, that's contrary to the story group. Completely contrary to that. What's up, Nazo? How's it doing? Nazo's been reading through the NJO for the first time, so I'm really happy for him. Hope he enjoys it. Say Marvel has it worse. I like the EU modern writers interfering with Marvel while the EU just continues untouched by modern. That's true. I guess what I meant is Marvel. I think it's different though. With like superheroes, I think it's different because they're superhero stories. They're comic stories. They're continuity was never really meant to be like a big deal with that story with that universe. It is a big deal in some cases, but it was never meant to be as big a deal as what it was in the EU, because the EU is science fiction. It's fantasy. Continuity is essential to those genres. That's why Lord of the Rings is so popular, because of the continuity that Tolkien establishes through all of his works and the deep, rich universe that he created. Middle Earth is so popular because of the continuity and the attention to detail. Science fiction fans are known for fantasy fans too. I kind of lump them in the same category here. They're known for being or having an attention to detail. And that's why continuity was such a big deal to Lucasfilm back then. And not just to Lucasfilm, but George Lucas too. That's why Lucasfilm wanted to maintain continuity, because George Lucas told them to. Hmm. Sorry, guys. I get passionate about this. I love Star Wars. I love it so much. It's my favorite thing of all time. And the fact that it's owned by a corporation doesn't care. It's infuriating. And I think what's even more infuriating is people want to defend it. Defend Disney Star Wars. Defend a company that doesn't care about us. It's ridiculous. That's funny. Y'all give Nazo, I think he uploaded a video recently. So give that a watch. I actually need to watch it myself. Yeah. So, in brief, what I'm basically saying is I think Marvel, yeah, continuity is not as big a deal. It is a big deal, but not like it is for Star Wars. So, George Lucas regrets selling Star Wars. Well, to be fair, the fans put him in that position. They bullied him for years over the prequels, which really weren't that bad. Not just him, but his company, the actors who worked in those films. So in other words, his employees, he was paying them to work in his project or projects, and then creating that documentary. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Uh-oh. What'd you do, Nazo? I remember being thrilled when Disney first purchased Star Wars, feeling that die on the vine. Yeah. I think a lot of people were excited for it because they knew Star Wars movies were going to come back, but they forgot it's Disney. That's what they forgot. It's Disney. It'd be different if it was another corporation or a smaller company. Or I think what George should have just done was just step down and just appoint someone else instead of having to sell the whole company. Well, he did that because he wanted money. That's why he did it. But if it was me, What I would have done was I would have stepped down and appointed someone else to be president. That way Lucasfilm, that way George doesn't have to be involved with it anymore, and Lucasfilm can still be its own small company. But what do I know? This is fair. That's a fair point. That's a very good point. Very good point. I think that's one of the reasons why I like Marvel 2 a little bit more is it does have that shared universe continuity. So that's a very good point, Andres. Why should have got me in trouble? Because I basically said some E fans are jerks and should be nice. Some Disney fans and keep them. I mean, you're true. That's true, Nazo. But at the same time, it's like both fans are mean to each other all the time. So yeah. Well, people think that was Dave. They think he was that person, but clearly he's not. Well, I mean, he is, but he's not very good at it. Like DC characters, Marvel characters are allowed to grow like the world outside your window. Now Marvel characters go on endless loop with no progression. Well, that's one of the cons of the story's been going on for a long time. I think they're running out of ideas. Absolutely agree. I want to do a follow-up discussing you fans who were mistreated after the was all of them were mistreated. Shoot, all of them. I'm guessing you're talking about specific ones though, but all EU fans are mistreated. Yeah. First one my video was biased, so I offer a compromise. Well, like I said, I've not watched it and I haven't read any comments on it. Well, what YouTubers are getting mad at you over that? Is anyone I know? I think Claremont X-Men was really popular because characters were growing, and Claremont treated those characters like people. Yeah, in fact, it's actually funny you say that. I've actually been going through that for the first time, taking a break from it. I'm on Days of Future Past, but I'm loving that run so far. OG Star Wars, Marvel purists, other than like, well, what I will say, those last two, don't worry about. Yeah, don't worry about them. Um, OG Star Wars. Well, I've talked to a war. I've actually been on her channel before. She's actually a very nice person. But the other two, especially that middle one, can't stand them. Marvel Purist, he needs to change his name to instead of Star Wars Marvel Purist, it needs to be Star Wars Theory Purist because that's all he seems to ever talk about on his channel. Star Wars Theory this, Star Wars Theory that. This is why I like to dick ride Star Wars Theory. I only follow Purist or Panera Lock. Hmm. she's a very nice person. I don't agree with everything she says though. In fact, I've actually disagreed with her. I think I've had my fair share of arguments with her on Twitter a long time ago. But she invited me to her channel, and we did. That was a while ago now, but we did uh, like a little interview. She interviewed me on her channel. That was very nice. But Marvel Purist is streaming right now. I bet he is. Let's look. Let's Google it. Well, sort of Google it, YouTube it. Not Stars Theory. Again, every time I think of him, I think of freaking Theory. When I think of Marvel Pierce, I think of Theory because that's all he ever seems to see videos on. Oh, he's not streaming. I'm wrong. I don't care. Eventually, this show's gonna get to him, and I'll hear about it later. Don't worry. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video. This video for today, or stream, not video. It will be a video, but it's not. Thank you guys for joining, for being interactive. Thank you guys for letting me rant. Saying it's funny, but because I have some very strong opinions about this stuff, But I love Star Wars. I've spent probably over $1,000 on Star Wars books alone within the past it's like 5 years now. I've been an EU fan. Jeez, it's been half a decade I've been reading this stuff. It's crazy, man. But yeah. So I love this story so much, and I want to cherish it. And that's ultimately what I want to do: is cherish it, defend it, love it, celebrate it. That's that. I don't like to do a whole lot of like rant stuff, but sometimes you just got to do it. I guess streams it's one thing, but I want my videos to be celebrating the EU, talking about the EU and the stories it told, and celebrating it, and most importantly, celebrating it with fellow fans like Titus. Titus and Ken are my best friends. So being able to do that kind of stuff with him means everything. It means everything to me. Um, so that's one of the things why I love. I love this stuff. It might be such a problem that huge features on nobody. I don't know. I don't know. They'll let it get to you. It's YouTube petty drama. It doesn't mean anything. Trust me, it doesn't mean nothing. Nothing will come out of it. Just on your third decade. Yeah. Uh, that'll happen eventually, God willing. But I'm half a decade in. It's funny because I was what it. It's been almost half a decade. It's probably been about 4.5 years. So not exactly a half a decade yet, but shoot, I was 16 when I started this, 2020, or in 2020, I was 16, or turning 17, and then that's when I started reading the EU. Technically, 2019. I may have been 15 when I started. So 15, 16 is when I started. Now I'm 20. I'm 20 years old now. Oh, I turned 21 this year. So yeah, it's been about 5 years. So it's crazy, dude, how much time flies. But yeah, my collection started out as 4 novels that I bought from Half Price Books because I was just interested in starting. I still remember the books. It was Truce of Bakura and the first 3 NJO books. and then it just went from there. Now I have all the adult novels. I have most of the young adult books. Um, what else do I have? A bunch of comics. Played most of the games. Yeah, made some great friends. Most importantly, made some great friends. And I didn't expect you to be so young. Yeah, I'm a youngster. I'm 20 years old, still in college. So anyway, it's been an hour. I like to end it at an hour, so I'm gonna go ahead and go. Thank you guys very much for joining. Y'all have a good one. Thank you guys very much for joining. Vodeon, that's gonna be my next video. Remember, that's still going on. Titus, Ken, myself, we are going through um Attack of the Clones. We're gonna read the book. We're gonna watch the movie. Keep an eye out for that. So not tomorrow, but next Friday should be out. Next Friday, next weekend. That area or that time frame. That's what we're aiming for. So keep a lookout for that. The reason why is I'm not going to set certain dates is because, the time it takes us to read the books and when we have time. In fact, when we did the last episode, we recorded that at like 2 in the morning, and then I had it uploaded. I had it up by 7. I edited it that night and then had it up by 7. So that's I'm telling you, yeah, we I have a lot of time. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Oh, one more comment. Last you seen here we come. Videos from the old folks home. It'll come eventually. Eventually. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Long live the expanding universe.